Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy, and you're listening to my podcast, Vox and Hops, brought to you by Sound Talent Media, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians to talk about their lives, music, and craft beer. I hope you guys had a great week this week. I had an excellent week. I have been super busy, but that's okay because there's a whole bunch of crazy, amazing things happening in the world of Vox and Hops. I am super stoked to announce that today you can pre-order the Vox and Hops Overhop Canada collaborative brew called Vox and Overhops. This is a New England IPA. I can't get over how gorgeous this can art is. We made a t-shirt to go with it, and you can go and pre-order that right now. You can get that Vox and Overhops collab shirt and the beer. You can reserve that, pre-order it right now via the link in the description of this podcast. These pre-orders are only open for 2 weeks, so you do not want to miss your chance to get your hands on this shirt. It is gorgeous. They will be printed at The Imprint, which is where I get all of Vox and Hops' merch, and I love them to death. They make some of the best merchandise in Montreal, and I am super proud to work with them. Vox and Overhops, the New England IPA, is coming at you, people. This beer is going to be out on the market mid-November, and I am so excited to try it. I'm super stoked to be with Dave Davidson today, the vocalist and guitarist of Revocation and of his brand new project, whose record came out today, called Gargoyl. I love this project. It is completely different than Revocation, and I completely support. You guys should most definitely go and check out Gargoyl's brand new self-titled record, which just came out via Season of Mist. It is a monster of a record, and I've been super stoked for it, and it is finally out, people. Go and bathe in the beauty of Gargoyl. This is Vox and Hops, episode 190 with Dave Davidson.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm with Dave Davidson of Revocation, and he has a new project called Gargoyl. I am super stoked to be with you. You are an amazing guitarist and extremely creative, and I've been looking forward to sitting down with you and picking your brain. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm good. Let's start with a very simple yet complex question. How are you coping with 2020?
Honestly, I'm just trying to stay creative and focused on different projects, and that's been enormously beneficial to my mental health in these times.
It's trying as an artist when you can't get out there to connect with your fans.
Yeah.
But you saying that staying creative has really helped you. How have you driven yourself to keep motivated, to keep putting your pedal to the metal, to keep? It's so easy just to languish and watch Cobra Kai these days. You know what I mean? You know, it's much easier to sit down to do nothing, and it takes that extra little push. How do you do that?
I don't know. I guess it's just I'm just trying to like set certain goals for myself and then like do everything I can to meet those goals. I mean, luckily it's all things that I enjoy working on, or at the very least, even if I'm doing something that feels like a bit more laborious at the time, I see the sort of end in sight, like the bigger picture. So, for example, I launched my website in quarantine, davedavidsonguitar.com. There was a lot of moving parts with that, obviously. And I was creating these different lesson packs and doing a lot of like work on the computer in Guitar Pro, like transcribing things and all that stuff. So less sort of fun stuff of like playing guitar, but at the end of the day, it was a project that I wanted to fulfill. And now that that's done, I feel like this like big sense of relief, and I can move on to like other projects. So sometimes I'll kind of like stack it up, you know what I mean? Like I mentally can't move on to the next thing until I get the thing that I'm working on off my plate. So even if it's something that I'm working on at the time that's not like, super creative, like writing music or whatever, it's still like feels good to like complete that goal, because then I can get on to the next thing that I want to work on. So yeah, it's just trying to set goals and just trying to meet those goals. And I think, look for the silver linings, like anywhere you can, when you're doing something like that.
Absolutely. And that procrastination monkey that gets on our back when we know that we have something that we have to accomplish and you put it off is such a weight. So it must be somewhat refreshing to have actually this time to accomplish all these things that you've had on the back burners
Yeah, I mean, I've wanted to launch my website for years, but I just like never did because one
towards.
thing leads to another. A tour comes up, or you got to write a record, or you got to record. So yeah, the fact that I had some downtime, I just tried to embrace it. I mean, as a touring musician, it's like, kind of like a shot to the gut when you find out like, oh, you're not going to be able to tour for who knows. I mean, initially they were like, oh, it'll be a few months, and now it's looking like a year or maybe even longer. So yeah, I just tried to embrace that downtime and tackle projects that I was kind of procrastinating on and putting off.
Wonderful, wonderful. Vox and Hops is all about hanging out with my metal friends and talking about their lives, music, and craft beer. Do you have a beer on your side, Dave?
I don't. I'm actually drinking a cocktail tonight.
That's okay. That's okay. So
Yeah.
what's in your cocktail there?
I have no fucking idea. I know there's beet juice and some orange blossom water and maybe some rum. My roommate is an esteemed mixologist, so she's currently crafting a new bar program for one of the places that she works at. So I'm the guinea pig.
Sounds like a good problem to have there, Dave.
It's an excellent problem to have.
I have been told through the grapevine that you are a craft beer enthusiast. Is that true?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love beer. I've been very fortunate to get to try a lot of amazing beers around the world. Check out different breweries. I've become friends with a lot of different brewers, at different places. So, yeah, it's something that I definitely got into a lot over the past several years, and I kind of like all styles. Like I'm not just like an IPA guy or a stout guy. Like I enjoy a good Pilsner. I enjoy like good Saisons and farmhouse ales, like more like kind of wild, spontaneously fermented stuff. You name it. If it's carbonated, I'll drink it.
Wonderful. On my side, I am going to be drinking the Hopburglar triple dry hop, triple IPA. It clocks in with a monstrous 10%. It's actually a collaboration between BreWskey and Emporium out of Quebec City. BreWskey's from Montreal, right in the old port of Montreal. They are been open for about 2 years in their new establishment, probably 1 year in their new brew house, and they're just killing it here. So massive shout out to Kevin from La Canette for hooking me up with this brew. Super stoked about everything going on there. Tell me, take me right back. I want to hear this craft beer journey. Do you remember? Let's start right at the beginning. Tell me about your first beer, Dave.
My first beer ever?
That is correct.
Oh man, I don't know. It was probably a Old English 40 or something like that I paid some stranger to buy me at a liquor store. It's a nice color on that.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Pure haze.
Yeah.
Both Emporium and BreWskey are killing it on the haze here in Montreal, Quebec City for Emporium. Cheers, Dave. Thank you so much for taking some time to have a chat with me.
Of course, man. I don't know if you can see the color of this cocktail without me.
I can, yeah. It's a little pinkish.
It's got like a nice ruby red.
Ooh. This is got a beautiful boozy bite. It's creamy, slightly dank. They hop this sucker with Idaho 7, Strata, and Rakau, Rakau. I should be pronouncing that properly. I think that is a New Zealand hops, which I normally tend to enjoy very much. I love this brew. So good, boozy 10% bite. After that Old English, take me to that craft beer story. Do you remember the beer that really opened up your eyes to the world of craft beer?
Let me think about that. I mean, being from Boston, like New England in general, there's like a lot of good beers around there. I think I don't know if Sam Adams is considered like craft beer or whatever, but like I think maybe for the time at least it would have been considered that. Like, I mean, we're talking, I don't know, decade ago at least, probably more. But I remember like their Boston lager and drinking that, it's some kind of like family outing or something like that. And be like, oh, this is pretty good. It's definitely like got more flavor and it, just had like a depth to it that, something like a Budweiser or something like that didn't have. And then when touring more with Brett, our bass player, he's friends with so many different dudes, and I think the dude that really got him into craft beer, or at least maybe one of the people that got him to craft beer, was Dave Whitty. And Dave Whitty is the man around town when it comes to metal dudes who are into craft beer. He's obviously a legend in the metal world, but he's a bit of a legend in the beer world as well. I mean, he's just got so many connections to so many different people. So Brett played in a band with Whitty, and I think Dave definitely like imparted a lot of his knowledge and appreciation for craft beer onto Brett. So we'd be on tour, and then it would be like, oh yeah, like so-and-so from this brewery, like we're going to throw him on the guest list. He's going to come out and like bring us some beer. And it just kind of snowballed like that. Pretty soon, like it turned into like a prerequisite almost, like, oh yeah, if we're going to Chicago, yeah, we're going to hit up Off Color. We're going to hit up Three Floyds, things like that. So, and then it kind of, spread out like even more and more like to like the sort of worldwide craft beer hookup. So like, we had some homies from Distruce Brewing come out and like bring us some really incredible Belgian beers. We actually got to go to that brewery and check out. They gave us, I think it was what was it called? It's like Albert or something like that. Like it's like their stout or whatever. Like they had like a Damnation stout or something like that was like aged on all these like crazy barrels. So they gave us like several bottles of that. Definitely Brett like helped sort of usher in this like insane craft beer meeting of the two worlds into our touring circuit. So I've got Brett to thank for that, as well as Dave Whitty.
The Dave Whitty trickle down effect.
He's everywhere, man. He's everywhere.
He's been a good influence because there's only extreme metal is complex. There's a lot of layers to it, and craft beer also has that. It's an art form, and we deserve, as extreme musicians, something that matches our artistic endeavors.
An extreme beverage.
Exactly. Has there ever been, are you interested in ever having a craft beer for one of your projects? Has there been a Revocation brew? Have I missed that?
There has not, but I don't know if I can really speak on this, but we have plans to possibly do that with a really fantastic brewery. Actually, we were planning on doing it right before COVID hit, and then everything like shut down, obviously, so we had to put that on ice. But I was really looking forward to that collaboration. I ended up texting my buddy who works for this mystery brewery, and he was like, yeah, we're gonna do it once things open back up. So I don't know if I can say, or should I just not say?
Well, you can not say the brewery, but you can say what style of beer it was.
See, we don't even know that. We were gonna just kind of, I think, get together and collaborate on some stuff. So
very cool. It's like getting into a jam room with people.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I've never brewed beer before, but I was really looking forward to kind of getting some hands-on sort of knowledge out of that, and just sort of lending some maybe outside the box kind of ideas. So like, hey, like, this is like maybe like a concept behind like a record, or like, hey, this album, I don't know. I was thinking about, the stouter ones came to mind. So we were maybe going to do a stout or something like that. But I'm always open to other artistic interpretation and input. So if he had any ideas of what to do, I was going to, embrace that head on as well. I always thought it would be cool to do like a Vietnamese coffee stout. Like I love coffee stouts and I love Vietnamese coffee. So I always thought that would be like a cool, somehow blend those two things together. But I don't know if that fits into with the Outer Ones theme at all. But goddamn, I bet it would be delicious.
Yeah, and I have not seen a Vietnamese coffee stout out there yet. So
someone's gonna take that idea now. I wasted it.
Let's move into music now. I would like to go back to your youth, the soundtrack of your youth. When you were growing up in your parents' or guardians' home, what music was playing when you were not in control of the music? What music did they listen to?
It's just probably the radio. I didn't come from like a huge like like musical background. You know, I mean, I remember like really loving music as a kid, and my parents definitely nurtured that. But you know, it wasn't like we were listening to old records or this or that. I just kind of, I think, found my own way. I mean, in my youngest years, yeah, I was, you know, just kind of listening to whatever like my mom had on like in the radio or whatever, like, you know, some kind of like top 40 hits. So yeah, it wasn't like I had like an older sibling or anything like that that like really got me into, you know, a particular type of music. I think I was always like a pretty inquisitive kid, and I always like wanted to like search things out for myself. So even though my parents didn't, you know, expose me to a lot of like different music or whatever, uh, they were very supportive in all my, you know, artistic endeavors. Like my mom, you know, got me a guitar when I was 12 and, you know, had me take lessons and all that stuff. So it was good that they were supportive. And in a way it was kind of cool because I got to kind of do that exploration on my own end. And, you know, rather than have someone like bring me music that like, oh, you should listen to this because, you know, I listened to it. I got to kind of choose my own adventure with that.
That's always very refreshing too. You must have had a group of friends around you where you guys all grew and developed together.
Yeah, like I feel like I sort of found more of like my like metal minded friends like more in like high school and like college. A lot of my friends growing up in middle school were all into like hip hop and stuff like that. So which I really enjoy as well. Like I mean, I grew up like with my friends like listening to like Biggie and Wu-Tang and like Tupac and stuff like that. But you know, maybe I would play them like a metal song from like time to time, but it wasn't like we were like cranking like metal with like my main like group of friends. Like I had like a couple other dudes, like the dudes that I started the band with, like we were all into like metal and rock and stuff like that, obviously, and would like listen to that stuff. But like in terms of like my larger friend group, we weren't really listening to like a ton of that stuff. And like by the time I got to like college and stuff like that, though, like, you know, meeting like a whole bunch of dudes and like playing out more and more in the scene and connecting with dudes sort of from Boston and beyond. That was when I really had that kind of you know, collective, I don't know, support system, if you want to call it that, or you know, just sort of listening parties with buddies. Like we'd go over and like start cranking like metal tunes and order a few pizzas and get a few 30 racks and, you know, classic metalhead college days.
The good days, yeah, fun times right there.
Yeah.
But was it easy for you to find people to collaborate early on when you started playing? Was it immediately like I want to be in a band, or was it just I want to play guitar?
When I first started, I mean, I started playing guitar when I was 12,
Mhm.
and I didn't know anyone to be in a band with, so it was more just like something for me. And I think it was good. Again, it was sort of like a self exploration, you know, discovery on my own terms. I could kind of like hone my craft, like work on things that I needed to work on my own time and get good enough to where like I could be in a band. But yeah, by the time I was like 15, 16, I was just like itching. Like it's like, all right, I've been playing for like a few years. I've been playing along to like Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses records like every day, and like starting to get into like heavier and heavier shit. It's like, all right, it's time to start jamming with some other folks. So you know, I met Phil and Anthony in middle school. I think we were in eighth grade when I met those guys. I think we were in the same homeroom, and yeah, we just like kind of just started chatting, got together, started jamming, and then yeah, pretty soon on we started just like writing material that would turn into like some of like the first Revocation songs.
That's, you know, they could make a movie about you guys. That shit doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things where you know, you just get together. I mean, with metal, it's not like it's a super deep bench, right? You know, it's not like everyone's listening to Cannibal Corpse and you know, death metal and thrash and this and that. So when you find guys that are into it, or even like kind of into it, like that was like the whole thing. I mean, when you're a kid and you're discovering all these things, it's like you're experiencing them sort of like for the first time, like with your friends, you know. So I remember like our bassist at the time, Anthony, he would be, you know, bringing in like, oh, check this out. I'd be like, you know, this band In Flames, like let's listen to this. This record Colony, and we'd buy the CD and we'd put it on and listen to it all together and be like, whoa, this is so melodic. Like I never like had heard that before, like screaming vocals with like super melodic sounding riffage. Like it almost like fucked with my brain. I'm like, this like doesn't compute for me. And then like
to do this,
right, exactly. It was like, oh, I can do, it was literally like, oh, I can do this. That's crazy. And then, I remember like getting X Hoarder, The Law on CD, and I just listened to that like nonstop. And it was one of those things. It's like watching like a really good movie. You could rewatch it, and it's like even more special when you like watch it with someone else who hasn't seen it, because like the things that are coming up and you get like all excited because someone else is experiencing it. So it's like that with music for all of us, like individually. Like we would get a record or whatever and like bring it in to the rest of the dudes and be like, yo, check this out, and we'd all just vibe on it like super hard. And then like I think that would just inspire us all like collectively to work that much harder.
Very cool. It's being at the right place in that right homeroom. Who knows, hey? But you seem to have the drive that you would have kept going anyways.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this new project, Gargoyl. I personally really, really enjoy it. Everything that I've heard is stellar, right up my alley. I love the whole prog rock scene. I love that you're doing something completely different. I think
you
that
so much.
must feel refreshing.
Yeah, it was something that I really needed. I think I didn't even realize how much I needed it until we got into the, really deep into the writing process of it, because the ideas just started flowing out so quickly and so organically. I spent a lot of time, working on and honing my craft as the guitarist and frontman of Revocation. And I think, most people sort of associate that band sort of with me, and like they kind of take that as like the entirety of my sound, but I've got like a lot of other influence as well. I studied jazz in college and in high school and stuff like that. So, and I grew up listening to all different like rock bands and prog and stuff. So yeah, having a vehicle for those influences has just been really, really good for me as just a musician in general. I'm super excited to get that stuff out. And it's exciting to me to share this other side of myself as a composer or whatever, with Revocation fans, and hopefully sort of beyond that, or reaching out to a different spectrum of music fan, because if you're only into Revocation for the sheer like brutality, like heaviness of it, then maybe Gargoyle like isn't gonna be for you. But luckily I think our fans are really open-minded, or at least a good portion of them are, and like the music that Revocation makes, because it kind of touches on like a variety of different, even though it's like limited to like a death metal or thrash metal kind of scope. Like there's a lot that we do with it, I think. So people that are into the forward thinking nature of that band, I think will be into Gargoyle. But yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to branching out and hopefully bringing in some other people that maybe would never listen to Revocation, that might find something that they like about Gargoyle, because it's all singing, right? And it's even though it's heavy and intense, it's not like you're not listening to death metal, obviously, but I think it can still be jarring and unnerving in maybe like a different way than Revocation is, but maybe touches on some of the same moods loosely, like here and there, and just in terms of like just some stuff that like, I don't know, makes you like kind of takes you aback a little bit in terms of like either the surprising quality of the twists and turns that are in there, or just like this like kind of like progressive element that I think is present in both bands, but just in different ways.
Absolutely, and Revocation has really evolved over the years from just being a straightforward death metal thrash-based band into something far more innovative and creative. But did you get to a certain point where you felt like you were stuck in a box, and when you were coming up with riffs, just went on your own, and you were like, this could never be something for Revocation, and you just put it in this box in your mind, or for later?
Yeah, there was certain riffs that there was a couple riffs for Gargoyle that I had written before Gargoyle was even a thing, that I knew like they sounded cool and they were out there, It wasn't like, oh, this is like a throwaway revocation riff. It's something that I wrote that's like not good enough revocation. That it was just something that was like, oh, this is really cool, but it just doesn't like fit within the revocation framework. I think I've gotten better at like defining my sound over the years. Like in the early stages of revocation, we were trying so many different things. For some people, I think the early records are like they like that more than like what revocation sort of evolved and turned into. For me, like I really enjoy working within like more of like a concrete sort of death metal framework now, and like pushing it in different directions, but still keeping that that main death metal aesthetic like as sort of the main vision with revocation now. Whereas before, like, yeah, we were like doing different things. I mean, we had like horn sections and like Hammond organ solos on different songs like back in the day. So yeah, I guess in writing now, I'm more kind of in tune with like how I want certain things to sound. So I guess I can kind of compartmentalize, different riffs and say like, okay, yeah, this for sure works with revocation, or okay, maybe this is better served for like a different product. Because at the end of the day, I want to push the boundaries of whatever genre that I'm working in, but it's this sort of double-edged sword where it's like I want to push the boundaries as far as I can possibly take them, but at the same time I want to try to keep it as cohesive as possible. So it's a tricky balance sometimes, like really trying to push the boundaries, but still maintaining like an overarching kind of umbrella or whatever that your sound sort of falls underneath. But it's been a fun challenge, and it's something that I really enjoy. Anytime I'm writing, whether it's for revocation or for a new project, I like to really get to the core of what the sound is, and then like come up with as many different sort of ways that I can push that core sound.
Very interesting. I've spoken to a lot of musicians, obviously, through VOX&HOPS and Cryptopsy. Chris and Ollie often speak about riffs having a certain color. Does that fall into that, where revocation has riffs have a certain color to them, and Gargoyle had something that was just completely different?
Yeah. There's all sorts of metaphors that come to mind when you're talking about music, whether it's color or mood or vibe or whatever. I think they all are getting at the same thing, which is essentially, what is the emotional content of the music? How does the music make you feel, and how does it sort of fit within, your mindset as a writer, right? Because I think you have to have a vision when you're writing something something that you really want to be like proud of and put out there. And that vision can change and evolve over the years. I mean, thinking back to different bands like a band like Death, for example. When I was listening to Death as a kid, I was just kind of listening to the whole discography sort of all at once. So like one day I'd be listening to, because you discover a band, and if you're a fan of music, and I was such a rabid metal fan back in the day, like, oh my God, I can't even like, I just would always be buying CDs and just going down the rabbit, like scouring through the thank you list of different bands, and like, okay, oh, this band thanked that band, like, oh, I've never heard of them, I got to look them up. And so I was just like ravenous for metal back then. So, when I found Death, I was just a huge fan, obviously. I mean, they're such a classic band, and for good reason. They're amazing. But I was listening to Leprosy at the same time I was listening to Human, at the same time I was listening to Symbolic and Individual Thought Patterns and Sound of Perseverance. We actually were Death for Halloween one year. Like, this is like years and years ago, and we played a song off of every record. Anyway, but like I was experiencing it kind of like all at once, and as I was older and like really put it into a chronological timeline and could kind of like assess it in a different way. It was cool to see the development of like where Death started and where Death ended up. So I think all good musicians, all good artists, like kind of adapt and change with the times and evolve and grow. And your life experiences affect the music that you make. The more you learn about music affects the music that you make, or can refine it. I think refinement is like the best kind of term that comes to mind when I'm thinking about my own writing process with Revocation. You know, it started with all these different influences from metal and beyond, and I was just kind of putting them all into the Revocation sound. And as I kind of got that out of my system more and more, I could kind of focus the scope of that. So maybe there's less, you know, sort of peripheral kind of like elements out there floating around, but I think bringing those in and honing that in has made for just like stronger records overall, like consistently as the band has gotten better. But that's the cool thing about music; it's totally subjective, you know. So some people might think that our earlier stuff is the best stuff we ever did. So
You can't please them all, Dave.
that's the thing. If you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. So I just try to make music for myself first and foremost, and you know, because it's an artistic expression, it's a cathartic release, and then hopefully people are down to come along for the ride. And I'm very thankful to all of our fans for allowing me to be me and you know, write the music that I want to write. It's very freeing when you've got like a fan base that I think knows to sort of expect the unexpected.
You mentioned that you do the stouter ones for Revocation. If you could make a brew for Gargoyle, it being a different color and having a different vibe, what brew would that be and what style would that be?
That's an excellent question. I haven't thought about that at all, but I'm going to go with, off the top of my head, maybe some kind of really funky farmhouse wild ale, something effervescent on the palate with a lot of different strange notes that kind of perk up your taste buds.
Very cool. Yes. When I spoke to Frank Godla, he mentioned that it was after a conversation with you that Slay at Home really took off. Do you remember that conversation at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love Frank. He's my homie. We were hanging out a couple days ago, in fact.
Very cool. Super good. I love that festival. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, and I want to talk about your collaboration that you did for the Slay at Home Fest, which I thought was amazing too.
Thank you. This was right when the pandemic was really in full force. I mean, there was so much conflicting information out there, and there was so much sort of, I don't know, just depression and panic around it. I mean, it was like, is the economy going to collapse? Like, there was all of these questions swirling around. And I think everyone felt very claustrophobic and, you know, just sort of, I don't know, just a mixture of depressed and, you know, the depression and fear was sort of pervasive. It seemed like, you know, across society, kind of worldwide. You know, you're reading things from Italy, you know, hospitals being overrun, and, you know, seeing all these cases pop up, and places like New York and whatnot in the States. So it was a dark time, and you know, Frank, being the great guy that he is, he's always trying to be like a beacon of light, you know, whether it's with Metal Injection, like trying to always promote different bands, or with the Slay at Home Fest. And he basically called me up and he's like, hey, you know, I got this idea to basically do like a metal version of Live Aid. So like bunch of performances. I mean, they're all would be, you know, pre-recorded and digital, obviously, but you know, something that it could be a performance for fans, giving people some entertainment, you know, something to take their mind off of everything, and also a way to raise money for charity. I think he was donating to Music Cares, and there was maybe one other charity that was, you know, involved with some kind of like COVID relief, or it was maybe even money going to research for a cure. I forget. There was a couple different things that he had tossed out. I don't remember where everything ended up going. And he was like, oh, do you want to do like some cover songs or whatever? And I had worked with Frank and did some covers. We did a Christmas benefit show at St. Vitus, you know,
Love St. Vitus.
In 2020. Yeah. It was 2019 actually. And like we donated all the money to like Toys for Tots, and we were doing like, you know, a bunch of different covers like Metallica and Megadeth and Black Sabbath. And he was like, oh, do you want to, you know, kind of do that again? And for me, like, I love doing that live, but I just needed to write some music, like, especially given all like the anxieties that were swirling around everybody. So Like, yeah, if you don't mind, like, I want to, like, I know it's like more of an undertaking to write something original, but I'm like, can we put together like this hit squad of musicians? And he kind of like let me like choose the team. So I'm like, I'd love to work with Luke LeMay. Like, he's one of my favorite, most influential guitar players. I mean, you know, Tabernac, he's so good. And then Elliot from Car Bomb, and Liam from Dillinger Escape Plan. So like, luckily they all said yes, and they were all just such great musicians to work with. Me and Luke were Skyping with each other like every day, pretty much. And it was funny, I didn't even realize at the time, but he was basically like out of commission at that point. Like, he had like, Luke's one of those guys who's like a jack of all trades. Like, he'll do like woodworking, and he's like a crazy like snooker player, like, and he'll just be like running tables on that. And I think like he's got such a creative mind, but like it's kind of like the whatever he's focused on at the time, like he goes like full on into that. So he really hadn't been playing like much guitar, I don't think, or writing at all. And it was funny, like even Michael, like the president of Season to Miss, like sent me a Facebook message. He was like, how the fuck did you bring Luke out of retirement, kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, but he was like ready and raring to go. You know, I think it was good that maybe he had some time off, because like I said, like the ideas were just flowing. I sent him over a riff, and he sent me over a bunch of other riffs that like went along with it. And yeah, the collaboration was just so much fun. I think we wrote like a really cool song together. A lot of people were really stoked on it. In that digital fest, the Slay at Home Fest. You can find it online for anyone that's listening to this right now. The song's called Pallid Veil. So if you look up Slay at Home Fest or Pallid Veil, I'm sure it'll pop up on YouTube. But yeah, it was a dream come true for me to collaborate with Luke, and you know, maybe we can do some more stuff in the future. Who knows?
That's what I was going to suggest. And shout out to Chris Donaldson, who mixed that track.
Oh yeah, that the mixing was, and he got it together so quick too, which was awesome. I mean, we were kind of on a time crunch there, as you can imagine, especially working with so many different bands, and he had announced the date and everything like that. So the fact that we got it all in time was like, okay, cool, we did that.
It's that same little pressure of climbing onto a stage, something that we're all missing.
Yep.
The little butterflies, the hair raising on our arms. That's something that I get through these interviews. So it was nice that you guys got to do that. How else have you been getting those moments back? How have you been filling that void?
I mean, luckily this new Gargoyle record is coming out in October, so I've been getting that feeling a little bit from the tracks that we've been releasing, seeing people's reactions to it, just knowing that it's out there. I mean, this is something that I've been working on for quite some time. Working with Seasons to Miss and having them push it, it's been keeping me again like focused on like specific goals, and every month like we're putting a new track out. So I'm not sure when this is going to air, but we've got a new track coming out, actually a music video for the third and final track on Monday. So it's like every single month, it's like, all right, cool. Like we got the lead up, we got the build up, we release the track, we help promote it, we help push it, come up with, kind of creative ideas to get it out there. And then, but before you know it, like the next track is coming down the pipeline. So yeah, that's definitely been good. I mean, I've been teaching, which is fun. I get those sort of hair raising moments from time to time with different students when they have like a breakthrough on a particular topic that we're covering. So that's good. That's helping to keep me inspired. And honestly, just, I've used this time to work on myself as a musician. Like I've been transcribing a lot, like, just either going down like a YouTube rabbit hole and finding some like awesome jazz guitar player that I really love, and I'll transcribe like a chorus or two of that. Sometimes I'll write it down, but most of the time I'll just try to like sort of learn it, and like maybe I'll like sort of forget most of it, but I'll take away like some sort of concept. So I find that if I'm trying to constantly learn something every day, that's a good day for me. If I can just learn like one small thing, it keeps me keeps me inspired, keeps me motivated. You know, like I'll wake up in the morning and like the first thing I'll do sometimes just like waking up rather than just like, I don't know, watch some random bullshit. Like I'll like watch like a video of like an artist that I really like, or like, oh, so and so put up this, you know, live video or whatever, or like, you know, some quarantine guitar video that's like really compelling, and I was just like, all right, I'm up. It's like I've had a cup of coffee and like get the guitar in my hands and start practicing. So it's been a good routine of like constantly trying to be inspired and learning little things every day.
Awesome. I love that. And I hope that a lot of other musicians are taking this time, or even able to take this time to do that. We should step out of this better people, better musicians, with a whole bunch of amazing music that we're going to unleash on the world. One last question, Dave. What is your hangover cure?
Oh man, hangovers, as you know, man, they just get worse and worse. I mean, I thought I knew what a hangover was as a kid. I thought it just meant like you didn't feel good and then you ate breakfast and then you're okay. Nowadays, like, no matter what I do, a hangover is like an all day thing. I think that the best offense is a good defense. Just don't drink so much that you get a hangover, or if you do, or like you're drinking a ton, just pound a ton of water before bed, and like maybe have like a coconut water or two like on deck for the morning, because you're gonna suffer for sure if you're over 30 and you've slammed a 6-pack of those Hopburglars.
Hey, good memory.
you're gonna there's no way you're not gonna feel that shit in the morning. So I wish I had a better that's my there's no hope there. I'm trying to give as much hope as I can with everything else, but over 30, that hangover is 6 Hopburglars deep. Can't escape it.
Dave, thank you so much taking the time to talk about your life, your music, about some craft beer. Everyone get ready for the new Gargoyl coming out on October 9th via Seasons of Mist. I'm super stoked about it. I love that it's different, that you stretched yourself out of your comfort zone, even though it is your comfort zone, but out of your published comfort zone. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dave. Cheers.
Thank you, man. Cheers, brother. Great talking to you.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. What a great chat. What a great dude. What a smart individual. I love chatting with talented musical prodigies, and I put Dave Davidson in that class of people that is saying a lot, but I mean it. What a great record, this Gargoyl. I got to say again, you guys got to check this out if you haven't. I strongly suggest it. If you enjoyed this Vox and Hops episode, you should most definitely go and subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice. There are over 180 other Vox and Hops episodes up there for you to go and check out. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I am really looking forward to relaxing. I got something super huge coming up. The Vox and Hops and Overhop Canada collaborative brew is just the first part of a huge 2-year anniversary for the Vox and Hops podcast. I can't wait to tell you all about this special 2-year anniversary episode I got coming up. I've pulled all kinds of Vox and Hops alumni out of the woods. I've put them all together, and we're doing something truly amazing. I can't wait to share it with all of you. Have yourselves a great weekend, people. Vox and Hops is brought to you by Sound Talent Media. I will be back next week with 2 episodes. But until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops hits.